Hello viewers, and welcome to our top-notch productions. In our today's presentation, we will be discussing the female characters in Fathers of Nations. I think we've been very unfair to our female characters in this text because all along we have been discussing the male characters, and that has been unfair. Probably it is because of the nature of the novel and how the author has treated women in this text, and that is why it could have slipped our minds a bit, but we are back to it, and I want to welcome you to our production today as we analyze the character of women in this particular text. Welcome, I'm Oyuga Zedomolo, your presenter. Now, my subject will be depiction of female characters in Fathers of Nations. How they have been depicted first, then I will pick them individually and discuss their character traits vis-a-vis the themes that they bring out in the text. So I would want to begin with a character by the name Asiya Omondi. Asiya Omondi is a wife to Professor Karanja Kimani, and Professor Kimani married Asiya Omondi while he was at the University of Nairobi. I think he started bringing a lot of changes at the University of Nairobi, and he succeeded in one way or the other, and therefore this earned him the admiration of one of the campus beauties at that particular time, Asiya Omondi. After the marriage, they went for their nuptials, or what we call the honeymoon, in Tunisia, and that is where they conceived their first daughter, that is Tuni. So you can see that there is love first between Asiya and Professor Kimani. So we can easily talk about the theme of love. It is something that actually came from their hearts, and they began now to live together as a man and as a husband and a wife. So we can bring out the theme of love coming out very, very well in that case, from the time of marriage, admiration, and when they went to Tunis, and finally they conceived their first daughter, that is Tuni. Number two, the second place where we meet Asiya is now when there is a discussion between Asiya and the husband, that is Professor Karanja Kimani, and they were talking about the issues of security and who should be in charge of security. It comes out very clearly that Professor Kimani feels that this security is a government responsibility, while Asiya, together with Tuni, feel that we should take our own security, so it is a kind of a private arrangement. But for Professor Kimani, there is a feeling that if we abdicate the role of security to the government, then it means that the government will be collecting our taxes, but actually not delivering on matters security. So what comes out is that Asiya actually does not see the same way the husband sees in terms of security. For Asiya, security should be a private affair. So at that level, we also begin to see the theme of security or insecurity. Who should take care of our security? Is it a private affair or is it a government affair? So Asiya also helps us to see the idea of security or insecurity, whatever way you would want to look at it. But that theme comes out very clearly from the life of Asiya Omondi. Secondly, we also meet Asiya now. I think that is the third time now we meet her when Tuni has passed on in that road accident that took her life. And Asiya actually is with the husband. They are in bed, but she's so unfeeling, and actually we can say there is no love lost between the two. There isn't anything anymore between the two of them because of the feelings that Asiya has, and her feeling is that Tuni died because Tuni did not use the father's car while she was going to that seminar. So her idea or her argument is that if Tuni could have used the father's car, then she couldn't have died in that road accident. So obviously we realize that Asiya does not read from the same script with the husband when it comes to the death of Tuni. And what does it bring out? It brings out that which we call family relations. Sometimes you have a very severed kind of family relations. So here there is a lot of tension between them, and that is part of sometimes what happens in our families. So it helps us to see what we call family relations at some point in the text. And again, it moves to the second level. Now the second level is where now Asiya begins to talk about MP newborn Walomu, and looks like they have been talking to Walomu because she tells the husband that the husband is poor because the husband has stuck to teaching. He could have left teaching like Walomu left teaching, and now he's actually making millions. And already, as we talk, Walomu has 4 cars, 4 brand new luxurious cars. So he feels that the poverty that runs in the family of Professor Karanja Kimani is as a result of him not taking action to leave teaching and probably joining politics. So from that perspective, we see the theme of materialism coming in. Asiya is someone who loves material things, and therefore he would do anything, even leaving a husband, to remarry to another person simply because the husband does not have the wealth, but the other person has got the wealth. So at that level, we can bring out the theme of materialism in the life of Asiya Omondi. Now, there is also the theme of hopelessness that is coming at some point when he's talking to the husband, that is Professor Karanja Kimani, and telling Professor Karanja Kimani that the metaphor, the car itself has remained a metaphor of his hopelessness. So that disillusionment comes out, and even the fact that the car is broken down, and it means that Professor Kimani cannot move, shows that Professor Kimani is stuck at a point that is so hopeless and so disillusioned in life that she cannot move. So we begin to see the theme of disillusionment and hopelessness. I hope that this discussion has helped you to dig into the life of Asiya Omondi and probably bring out the themes that the life of Asiya Omondi brings to us as we read this text. The second character that I would want to talk about is Tuni and what her life brings out in terms of themes. Tuni is a daughter to Asiya Omondi and Professor Karanja Kimani. Actually, we have been told that when they went for a honeymoon in Tunis, or when they went for some strange visit in Tunis, then he was conceived there, and therefore is actually the epitome of their love. And again, we realize that she's a very intelligent girl as she grows up, and there is a discussion also on security between whether security should be a private or probably a government responsibility. So her position is clear that security should be a private affair, while the father feels the opposite, that security should be the government responsibility. So Tuni helps us to see the theme of security or insecurity in this text. Then we also see him as someone who is educated, he's gone to school and still continues to learn. So the theme of education comes out very well, because Tuni is someone who's gone to school, very intelligent, and she's even still going to seminar to get more information about how she can take care of her own security. So we also see that bit of education as a theme coming out very, very clearly. Now, there is also the theme of violence against women coming out through Tuni, because she talks about it. She says that women should take charge of their security even when they are driving, even when they have stopped or they have halted their cars probably to do some shopping, then they should take care of their security, because usually there is a lot of violence against women by the male. These men who actually kajak women because they think that women are actually the weaker sex. So she talks about that bit of violence against women that is propagated by the men. Now, there is also the bit of gender discrimination, because that feeling that women are weak and therefore men attack them quite often brings out the idea of gender discrimination. So I hope that this discussion also helps you to see the themes that are coming through the character of Tuni. Now, as I conclude, let me talk about Pamela Afolabi. This is the wife to Dr. Afolabi Abiola, and we are given the background that she's a white, and Abiola is actually a black. And therefore, the relatives felt at some point that this marriage was not fair enough, because Abiola needed to have picked another African woman to live with. And therefore, silently, the author is bringing the idea of racial discrimination. The clansmen of Abiola actually have the feeling that Abiola should have married a black and not a white. And if he married a white, then should have added another black. And that is why they have brought to Dr. Afolabi another black woman to marry. And that brings out the idea of racial discrimination coming out very, very prominently here. Number two is talking about family relations and the problems that we undergo as a family. You've married, this is a woman that you love, the woman also loves you, but the family members still feel that they also own you, and they can give a direction that your life should take. So it comes out even at this level when you're talking about the marriage between Pamela and Dr. Afolabi Abiola. Family relations, it is core here. Then there is also another idea coming out, because finally when the idea of adoption of children, it is a very strong theme coming out here, that you can still get your children through adoption. That is one of the options of getting children, because you're told that Pamela did not want to have the children of her own, but would have preferred actually to have children who are adopted. And he says that Africa is already having the problem of overpopulation. So she did not need to add more problems or more population or more children to Africa, which already had more than Africa needed. And that was our reason for opting for adoption. But Dr. Afolabi Abiola wanted the children of her own. So probably they disagreed at that level, and that is why they have ended up with no child at all. So they were staying but without children. But remember, the idea that comes out is the idea of adoption. You can still adopt children and be happy. But they did not have that, and therefore we have seen the kind of life that they have led until the time that Pamela feels that she's been aggrieved. You are in a marriage where the clansmen of your husband actually determine what should happen to you, and therefore they bring for you a wife, and she felt that she is being undermined. So this also brings the theme of women assertiveness. Here she has asserted herself and has refused actually to be defined by men that surround the husband. So she decides to divorce, take the official legal action to end that marriage, and that is being assertive enough. And we have seen that coming out very well in this text, and it is part of the themes that we can talk about. That is women assertiveness. She's asserted herself that she cannot actually stay in a marriage where she does not feel that she belongs. So, ladies and gentlemen, these three characters, I think I needed to have brought them and talked about them. So if you look at the general picture, is that the author has not painted women very positively. If you look at the life of these women, he's painted Asiya Omondi as an immoral character and a very materialistic woman. So in my case, that is not a very good portrayal, and she disappears after a few pages, or after a few chapters, 1 or 2 chapters, 3, then she disappears like that. So she's not used to help us develop the text even further. So there is that underdevelopment. Maybe it was deliberate, maybe it was intentional, we may not tell, but women have not been treated fairly in this text. Now look at even Tuni. Tuni could have been a very vibrant character that could have been could have actually pushed some ideas about women, and that does not come out in this text. And so actually the writer or the author cuts the life of Tuni shortened. Therefore she dies like that in a road accident. That is not fair enough. That is also unfair treatment. This young girl should have been developed up to the end. That is my opinion. You also have your opinion. So in my view, women have not been portrayed well. The only time that there is that balance is when Pamela is brought. But remember, even her development is not very elaborate. So we can say that women have not been brought out well in this text. But remember the themes that I've talked about, that these characters are bringing out as we continue to read the text. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope that this discussion has helped you in one way or the other to understand this text even better. I am your presenter, Oyuga Z. Omolo. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly do so, because we still have a lot to present to you. I hope you are enjoying your holidays. Teachers who are out there, our students who are out there, kindly be watching our programs, because I believe you can pick one or two things that can help you in the process of learning. May God bless you abundantly.